Hi guys, what is going on and welcome to today's weekly outlook video on Bitcoin, Ethereum, GU and also EU. In today's video we are going to discuss potential trading ideas on Bitcoin, Ethereum, GU and EU. All charts are looking extremely interesting. I do think there will be some high probability setups during the upcoming week, and there has been a lot of volatility on the markets, and I do think that this will continue over the upcoming weeks. Loads and loads of money to be made over the upcoming weeks. You guys really enjoy these weekly outlook videos, so we will keep doing these every single Monday. Enjoy today's video. If you guys do like this content, make sure to subscribe and also like this YouTube video. It would be highly appreciated. On the chart right now, we can see that the range that I've been marking out on Bitcoin last week has been playing out beautifully. Personally, I will be very honest, I made the mistake by going with a long trade on Ethereum instead of just going with a long trade on the retest of this range low on Bitcoin that I marked out last week. We have a beautiful range, guys. We have 3 different pivots, pivot 1, pivot 2, and pivot 3. You know that to draw correct ranges, you need 3 pivots. You also see the respect of the quarterly levels over here, the mid-level, and this quarter level, which is beautiful. Now, we have seen a deviation of the range low. We have an untapped liquidity pool above the range high, and we are currently above the mid-range. As long as the price is above the range low, and especially as long as the price is above the mid-range, we should get a test of the range high based on trading the range until it breaks, okay? Because after deviation of the range low, if there's an untapped liquidity pool above the range high, you should move towards that untapped liquidity pool. Now, we can see that we have been reclaiming the mid-range overnight. We do have a CME gap somewhere over here, and that is something to keep our eyes on. We also know that if we zoom in a little bit over here, is that we have some untapped equal lows over here for the Bitcoin price, okay? So yes, we are above the mid-range, but there's also a few reasons why we should be a little bit cautious over here for the Bitcoin price. Now, a scenario that we could anticipate, because we are currently anticipating a push towards this range high liquidity, right? That means that we should start looking for long positions on the Bitcoin price. Now, what we can see is that we have these equal lows over here, and beneath those equal lows is where we have this untapped bullish order block. So if I'm going to extend this one to the right, we have this untapped bullish order block for the Bitcoin price. There's a few reasons why this is a bullish order block. First of all, it swept liquidity while it was forming the order block. If we zoom in, we can see we have this bullish fair value gap above the order block, which is a very important requirement. And we have a beautiful inducement with these relative equal lows over here for the Bitcoin price. Now, the only problem is that this bullish order block aligns below the mid-range. And if the price falls below the mid-range, you want to be a little bit careful. But because quite some people will identify this area as support and resistance for the Bitcoin price, this mid-range, right? Because it was acting as resistance once, twice over here, a lot of people, I think, will be bidding the retest of this mid-range, anticipating a push up. Now, where do we think that the people that will long the mid-range over here will put their stop loss? I think they will put their stop loss beneath these equal lows. And that adds to the already existing liquidity pool, which adds to the confluence of us potentially wanting to long this bullish order block. Now, a scenario that we could anticipate on the Bitcoin price is to get a little bit of a pullback, maybe see a little bit of a bounce over here, then wreck the early long positions by taking the liquidity, and we start looking for long positions over here around the quarterly level, around this bullish order block. Now, there's a few ways that you can play this long position. You can set limits, which I think is a little risky over here. Don't put your stop loss like this, guys. This is too tight of a stop loss, too high probability of the stop loss potentially getting swept. If you want to play a limit, I suggest to put your stop a little lower, for example, beneath this low over here. If it falls below the quarterly level, there's a high probability that we go for this low over here. So that is why this is a nice invalidation in my opinion. Or you can wait for the price to see a bit of a reaction from the bullish order block, give us a shift in structure, and this is your long trigger with your invalidation over here, targeting the range high liquidity and a potential breakout towards $40,000 for the Bitcoin price. As long as the price is near resistance, we do not want to look for longs. We always want to play the best available setups out there and let the trade come to us instead of chasing the trade. Now let's continue with Ethereum, because Ethereum has been bouncing quite hard, and also Ethereum has now officially identified a beautiful and very clean range over here. We have 3 pivots right now. We have pivot 1, pivot 2, and pivot 3 that we put in last Friday. Now, looking at this range, we can also see the respect of the levels, right? Respect of the quarterly level, respect of the mid-level several times for Ethereum, and obviously the respect of this quarterly level over here. Now, we can once again trade this range until it breaks. We can see we have an untapped liquidity pool above the range high, but we also have an untapped liquidity pool below the range low. And that is making it a little hard to trade right now, because you want to trade the deviations of the range high or the deviation of the range low. So until we get a push towards the range high liquidity or the range low liquidity, I think you want to be a little careful with looking for trades on Ethereum. There's one potential trade that I could potentially identify right now, which is the fact that we saw a bearish sweep of liquidity over here, followed by a move to the downside with a shift in structure over here. So we shifted structure there, right? Because this was a higher low that brought us to a fresh high. Now that means that this is a valid order block of resistance, right? We also have a bearish hour one fair value gap within that order block over here, which is some nice confluence as well. 2 hourly time frame, same kind of order block. 4 hourly time frame, also same kind of order block with a bearish hour 4 fair value gap below the order block. The only thing that we don't have with this bearish order block is that we don't have an inducement. So we cannot set any short limits targeting lower levels, even though we have a liquidity pool at the range low. Also, since we have a liquidity pool at the range high, you want to be careful with shorts. But if we do mitigate this bearish order block and see some kind of a structure being developed like this on the 1 hourly or 15-minute time frame, we can anticipate shorts with the target being the range low liquidity pool and the target being the quarterly level over here, which aligns with this bullish fair value gap. So it might be in potential area for a bounce on Ethereum. So this is what I'm watching for Ethereum. Fairly simple, right? We are simply going to wait for price action to be developed, maybe see a little bit of a rejection, followed by a bearish sweep, followed by a bearish shifted structure, and we anticipate to short the lower high. Now, we want to see this preferably on the 1 hourly time frame, or at least on the 15-minute time frame. A 1 minute or 5 minute type of confirmation isn't enough. Why is that? Because the high time frame trend is to the upside, and also the 1 hourly time frame trend has now shifted again to the upside over here. Very simple trading ideas on Bitcoin and Ethereum, both very, very interesting. GBP, which is currently potentially going to be topping out this week for a little bit of a pullback, in my opinion, because we have been sweeping quite some buy-side liquidity. I do think there's still some buy-side liquidity resting above this high over here that should still get swept. Same for this high and this high potentially. Now, I'm potentially going to anticipate a midweek reversal to the downside, which means that the first part of the week can remain bullish over here, and then the second part of the week is potentially going to be anticipating a reversal to the downside, targeting this liquidity and potentially even targeting some lower levels. Higher time frame, I still think EU and GU have been bottoming out and should target higher, but I want to be a little bit careful. Now, looking for swing trades to the downside can only occur on a 1 hourly or 4 hourly time frame, right? I want to wait for strong confirmation. But we can also anticipate a potential move to the higher liquidity targets that I was just marking out over here, and over here. Because if we are currently looking at GU, what we can see is that we saw a bullish sweep of this low over here, followed by a now confirmed shifted structure over here in the 4-hourly time frame. So all time frames are trending towards the upside, and until they shift to the downside, you want to prefer to look for longs over short positions. Now what we are currently seeing on GU is a potential pullback could be occurring. Now if we do get a potential pullback into our potential discount area over here, we can potentially start looking for longs, targeting the liquidity targets that I've just been marking out on our chart. We can see that right around our discount level is where we have these equal lows for GU. And that might be a potential target for smart money to target that liquidity pool before getting a potential bounce to the upside to target all of those stop losses above these buy-side liquidity highs. Why is this a nice target? Because a lot of people have been FOMOing into long positions over here. A lot of people identified this fake break of structure and this one. That means they start to long the pullback. Now, where do we think those people put their stop loss? Either beneath this low or beneath these lows. And that means that they are putting their stop loss within our discount area over here. And they are longing within our premium area. And we want to look for longs inside of the discount, especially if a lot of retail traders have their stop losses aligning with that discount area. So this is my main scenario right now for GU. I would actually prefer to see an early week pullback instead of an early week pump. Take some of the stop losses of the late long positions. This is where we look to accumulate long positions, targeting higher levels, targeting this buy-side liquidity over here. Okay, lots of confluences. Also, for hourly time frame, we have this order block over here, which might act as extra confluence as well, right? Which is quite nice. And that is definitely something to keep our eyes on GU. Now for EU, obviously, which is strongly correlated with GU, we could potentially look for something similar, right? Also for EU, we still have an important buy-side liquidity high over here and some more highs aligning over here. Now important resistance area for EU will be this supply area over here. It can definitely reach a supply area. Also EU, if we zoom in, we can see that we have a bullish sweep of the sell-side liquidity being followed by the break of structure on the 4-hourly time frame. All time frames are once again trending to the upside, also for EU, just like for GU. And as long as the trend is up, you do not want to fight the trend. If we zoom in on a 1-hourly time frame, we can also see that EU is looking a little bit exhausted over here. And quite some people might be foaming into late long positions. Where are they going to try and put their stops? We know that there will be some stops resting over here. We know that there will be some stops resting over here, right? If we zoom in on the lower time frame, we know that there also might be some stops resting over here. Now, just like for GU, also for EU, I would prefer to wait for some of these stops to get taken out. If they get taken out and you get a low time frame confirmation on the 5-minute or 15-minute time frame that the trend is shifting to the upside again, that's your long trigger targeting that buy-side liquidity over here and eventually the supply area around 1.10. Now, definitely interesting charts in EU and GU. Some confluence that you can add to these trading ideas is that if both get a pullback, you want to wait for some SMT divergences. So for example, EU forms a lower low over here, and at the same time with the same higher low on GU, that forms a higher low over here. Lower low, higher low on GU, those are SMT divergences that you can look for in order to add extra confluence that the market might be taking out some liquidity before reversing to the upside again. And that is definitely something that I'm adding to my confluences in order for myself to position myself long. If I don't get the SMT divergence, I can still get a break of structure on the 5 or 15-minute time frame, but you have to ask yourself the question whether that is the highest probability setup out there or whether you want to wait for a little bit of a deeper pullback, then maybe get that SMT or this SMT over here with the GU SMTs over here before you position yourself long. If you guys do have any questions after watching today's episode, feel free to let me know. Also make sure guys to check out Prime XBT, which is the sponsor of this video, where you can trade Forex and commodities. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments down below, or make sure to join our free Discord community. That link can be found in the description as well. Thank you guys, and I'll catch you guys on Wednesday's video. Ciao, ciao!